reading the book of Acts in 40 days. Let's go. Day 28 of reading through the book of Acts together in 40 days. God has been speaking to us so much. I hope he's been speaking to you. Let me know down in the comments if he has. I would love to hear what you've been thinking, what you've been processing as we've been going through this journey together. If this is your first time clicking on a video, my name is Alex Suber, and I'm so thankful that you're here. I believe over the course of this video that God is going to speak to you, that you're going to be encouraged, that you're going to be inspired, and that ultimately you're going to grow closer to Jesus. So hey, before we go any further, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go ahead and like this video, and we're going to dive right into the content. What we're going to do today is I'm going to read the Bible to you. The words are going to be on the screen for just a few minutes. It'll probably take us 3 or 4 minutes. And then after that, I'm going to share some devotional content with you. I'm going to share a few things that I pulled out of this specific passage, which today is found in Acts chapter 21. A few things that you can apply to your life. So it shouldn't just be something that you read, but something you can actually apply and something that will actually affect your life. So we're going to read the Bible in just a moment, but if you prefer to skip over the Bible reading and go straight to the teaching portion of this video, you can check out this timestamp right here. That'll take you straight to the teaching, get right into the deep stuff. Go ahead. I know some of you want to do that, but for everyone else that wants to read the Bible together, sit back, turn up your volume. Let's dive into the Word of God. Chapter 21, verse 15. After this, we packed our things and left for Jerusalem. Some believers from Caesarea accompanied us, and they took us to the home of Mason, a man originally from Cyprus and one of the early believers. When we arrived, the brothers and sisters in Jerusalem welcomed us warmly. The next day, Paul went with us to meet with James, and all the elders of the Jerusalem church were present. After greeting them, Paul gave a detailed account of the things God had accomplished among the Gentiles through his ministry. After hearing this, they praised God, and then they said, "You know, dear brother, how many thousands of Jews have also believed, and they all followed the law of Moses very seriously. But the Jewish believers here in Jerusalem have been told that you are teaching all the Jews who live among the Gentiles to turn their backs on the law of Moses. They've heard that you teach them not to circumcise their children or follow other Jewish customs. What should we do? They will certainly hear that you have come. Here's what we want you to do. We have 4 men here who have completed their vow. Go with them to the temple and join them in the purification ceremony, paying for them to have their heads ritually shaved. Then everyone will know that the rumors are all false and that you yourself observe the Jewish laws. As for the Gentile believers, they should do what we already told them in a letter. They should abstain from eating food offered to idols, from consuming blood or the meat of strangled animals, and from sexual immorality." So Paul went to the temple the next day with the other men. They had already started the purification ritual, so he publicly announced the date when their vows would end and sacrifices would be offered for each of them. The 7 days were almost ended when some Jews from the province of Asia saw Paul in the temple and roused a mob against him. They grabbed him, yelling, "Men of Israel, help us! This is the man who preaches against our people everywhere and tells everybody to disobey the Jewish laws. He speaks against the temple and even defiles this holy place by bringing in Gentiles." For earlier that day they had seen him in the city with Trophius, a Gentile from Ephesus, and they assumed Paul had taken him into the temple. The whole city was rocked by these accusations, and a great riot followed. Paul was grabbed and dragged out of the temple, and immediately the gates were closed behind him. As they were trying to kill him, word reached the commander of the Roman regiment that all Jerusalem was in an uproar. He immediately called out his soldiers and officers and ran down among the crowd. When the mob saw the commander and the troops coming, they stopped beating Paul. Then the commander arrested him and ordered him bound with 2 chains. He asked the crowd who he was and what he had done. Some shouted one thing and some another. Since he couldn't find out the truth in all the uproar and confusion, he ordered that Paul be taken to the fortress. As Paul reached the stairs, the mob grew so violent the soldiers had to lift him to their shoulders to protect him, and the crowd followed behind, shouting, "Kill him! Kill him!" As Paul was about to be taken inside, he said to the commander, "May I have a word with you?" "Do you know Greek?" the commander asked, surprised. "Aren't you the Egyptian who led a rebellion some time ago and took 4,000 members of the assassins out into the desert?" "No," Paul replied. "I am a Jew and a citizen of Tarsus in Cilicia, which is an important city. Please let me talk to these people." The commander agreed, so Paul stood on the stairs and motioned to the people to be quiet. Soon a deep silence enveloped the crowd, and he addressed them in their own language, Aramaic. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that there are some people you will never be able to prove yourself to. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you do what they ask you to do, they're just not going to like you. They're just going to be against you. And that's what happened with Paul with these Jews who, again, are stirring up a riot. Everywhere he goes, these Jews are stirring up riots, trying to get him killed, trying to take him out of his assignment, out of his calling. And so the Jerusalem council had sent him to prove that he believed these Jewish laws. They're like, hey, this is going to prove it to everybody. We'll settle this once and for all. It's going to be taken care of. You just have to go with these guys and do this ceremony. It's all going to be good. And even doing that wasn't enough. So there are some people in your life, you're never going to be able to prove yourself to them. You're never going to be able to show them that what you say is actually what you believe or is actually how you live. They're always going to think that you're twisting your words or that you're being two-faced or whatever. And so there are some people that you just need to realize it's not worth constantly arguing with them. It's not worth constantly fighting with them. If they are so determined when they're coming against you, there's nothing you can do to really change their mind. Really, it comes to a point where they just have to either stay that way forever, or hopefully they'll look back on something that you've already done and that will change their mind. But don't waste your energy, don't waste your time continuing trying to prove yourself to people that are committed to misunderstanding you, that are committed to not liking you, that are committed to not supporting you. There are plenty of other people that want to support you. There are plenty of other people that want to have your back. And so don't let those few people who are not supporting you, who are against you, get you discouraged and use up all your time and energy trying to prove something to them when you're never going to be able to prove it. And so instead, spend your time on the people that actually want to receive from you, the people that actually want to listen to you, the people that actually believe in you and want to support you. The next thing I want to pull out is in the very last verse where they're quieted and they begin to be amazed that Paul speaks to them in their own language. And I want to talk about speaking people's language. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about English or Spanish or French or anything like that. What I'm saying is that every group of people, every culture has a language. They have things that they understand, things that they relate to. And so that's why you see a lot of times preachers, you can preach pretty much the same message. It's the same doctrine. It's the same core teaching, but you present it in a different way because different groups of people have different languages. So I may preach the same core doctrine one way to a group of teenagers, another way to a mixed crowd, another way to a group of single adults, another way to a group of preachers. Like there's different language, there's different context. And so I want to encourage you, realize the group of people that you're talking to, realize that they have a specific language and figure out that language. If you want them to listen to you, if you want them to understand you, if you want them to respect you, you need to learn how to speak their language. It's not that you have to change yourself. It's not that you have to become something different. It's not that you have to become something fake and act like, well, I know everything that you've been through. No, you don't have to do all that. But there's something powerful about understanding where people have been, the stories that they tell, the music that they listen to, the things that they think are funny, the memories that they have. All of these different things can be combined and again into a language where you can communicate to those people and you will actually be able to bless them more. You'll be able to lead them more. You'll be able to share the gospel more clearly because you are speaking into something that they can understand. Because I could be speaking English, you could be speaking English, but I could be talking in a way that you don't really understand. Even though it's the English language, you may not understand it. So I think as believers, we have to strive. We have to always be trying to speak the language of the people that we're presenting to, whether that's just leading someone at work, whether that's in a ministry context with our family, whatever it is. Try to figure out what is the language of the group of people that you're trying to communicate to. Well, hey, that was day 28 of reading through the book of Acts in 40 days. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the video, and hit the bell notification. And then also check out the playlist with all the other videos from this series. I know it's going to bless you. I know it's going to encourage you. Until next time, I'll see you later.